was home then, my dear, full of kindly faces. Home was home then, my dear, happy for the child.
Commissioner Richards is out of town on county business, but we're going to start with a proclamation and recognition of the AARP Friendly Community designation by the president of the AARP Colorado. So come on up and introduce yourselves and welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. My name is Bob Murphy. I'm the state director for AARP Colorado. And with me from my office, way down in the big city of Denver, is Roberto Ray. Roberto does our livable communities, our age-friendly community work, along with multicultural outreach work across the state of Colorado. So it's our great pleasure to be here today to present you the certificate of being officially the fifth community in Colorado to enter the World Health Organization AARP Age-Friendly Community Network. We had a great meeting this morning with folks. A lot of them who are in the room right now. You all are doing some great things already. A lot of work has gone into this plan, and you're starting to get into the implementation of some of the goals. And we had a great exchange of ideas, and it's one of the benefits of being a member of this network is the ability to talk with other folks that who are facing the same challenges you are. We have Larimer County and Boulder County who also have a county model approach to this age-friendly community work. So we shared lots of ideas this morning, lots of challenges and opportunities, as John and I were just talking about. And we look forward to working with you over the next months and years. And we get together with other age-friendly communities and have summit meetings a couple of times a year and exchange ideas and best practices. And that's one of the many great benefits of being a member of this network. So it's my pleasure. I'll read this and then walk around and present it to Chair Newman. The AARP Network of Age-Friendly Communities, an institutional affiliate of the World Health Organization's global network of age-friendly cities and communities. This is to certify that Pitkin County, Colorado, has committed to become more age-friendly under the criteria established by AARP and the World Health Organization, and has been accepted as a member of the AARP network of age-friendly communities. Thank you very much for doing this, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
It's actually nice having someone else read proclamations.
Yeah. Position, I know.
I know this has been a tremendous amount of work that's gone into this from our Senior Advisory Council, our Senior Director for Seniors, Chad. Commissioner Childs has been involved, Health and Human Services. And so thank you all for all your hard work, and we look forward to this long-term relationship.
Thank you. Thank you for coming up to do this personally. That means a lot to us.
Look where we are.
I know, and we had a beautiful day for you.
You know, here's Pat. Maybe we should reconstruct the.
You want another photo op?
Get the picture.
Anybody want to make any comments on this?
No, I do really quickly. I just think it's great. Again, thank you for coming. A lot of hard work, and we have lots of work to do, but this issue is definitely at the forefront of what Pitkin County is looking at in the future. We know the demographics and how those numbers are going to be changing rapidly as we're all getting into that age group. So we look forward to all working together and seeing just how far we can go with this. So thank you.
So do we. Thank you.
You want to do it real quick?
Another photo op
I'm
real
sorry,
quick?
you guys.
Steve?
An issue up.
Did you want to make any comments?
You just discovered.
After you do that, can you get a picture of the team with you?
Get the team.
Big deal. Well, let's get the
Sure.
Yeah,
Come on up.
Thank you very much for your patience.
Do you want us all in it or just?
School technology.
Hey,
Got your
Pat?
iPhone in your pocket.
Oh, okay.
Do you want us all in there, Pat, or just?
Everybody's a director. I'm trying to avoid it. I'm avoiding it at all costs, if you want to know the truth.
Yeah, thank you, Pat. You're welcome.
Thank you, Pat. Get in there, Joe. No, I'm the picture. I
had nothing to do with this. The only thing I have to do is I'm aging. You have to
It's
scrunch.
too, yeah, some people shorten on the front. Wait. Here we go. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And I want to get over here. Watch out. All right, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
You didn't know that?
Wednesday meetings already started.
All right, we can help.
She just moved here.
Yeah.
All right, John, any additions or deletions to today's agenda?
There are no additions or deletions to the agenda.
Perfect. We'll open this up for public comments. Anybody wishing to make a public comment, please come forward. Limit your comments to 3 minutes, please. Yes?
Thank you. Don't start the clock until I get up there.
All right, you're on.
Whoa, Patty, whoa. Anyway, my name is MCVC III. Nomenclature would be MCVC III also. Okay. Let's think in terms of the future, the economy. Now, I remember back in 1973, in the spring of 1973, Fortune magazine talked about the knowledge-intensive industries. I used it in my research paper, too. An important one. Either it was 30 or it was a 50-page one, whatever it was. Okay, knowledge-intensive industries deal with, you can say like the performing arts, computers, literature, et cetera, et cetera. All right, what I'm asking this august body to do, in whole or part, because there could be rebellion against the idea. So in other words, as a body, unified, or as by separate individuals, is for the Colorado General Assembly of 2018 to push for film subsidies here in Colorado. Now, I already mentioned to the Aspen City Council, but I didn't ask them to do it as individuals. Yeah, who knows? You know, they might want to do it that way. But this is the Colorado General Assembly of 2018. As I explained to them very quickly over at City Hall here, New Mexico, Louisiana, New York. Then finally, the big one finally came in with its real cannons going, California. All right, so you have 4. Now, is New Mexico in population, industry, or whatever else bigger than Colorado? No. But is it bigger than Colorado when it comes to TV and film? Yes. Don't worry, just give me like another minute, the most minute and a half. Okay, so what I'm asking you to do is a resolution to push. Also within this county, for those people who are supposed to be screenwriters, producers, or whatever else, for them to also help out on the front range. The TV and film people that have been fighting for years. See, because if they get those subsidies, who's going to be up there at the trough? People up here, aren't they? So they might as well begin to earn their keep now. So there'll be a lot of money. The last thing that I'm asking is that you get to each one of those kinds of groups, even if they're nonprofit. Because each one of them, if they want to be successful in the TV and film industry, must do what in the end? Join a union. All right? Remember, unions built this town to make it rich and famous. And for them to succeed, they must join the unions that are in show business. Well, look, thank you very much for your time, folks. And as you remember, time is money. Ben Franklin said that. Thank you very much.
Thanks, MZ.
Anybody else wishing to make a public comment at this time? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment, bring it back to commissioner comments. I think I'll begin. We just received this great award, not great award, but a great proclamation as we're now part of the age-friendly communities. Well, we're also a welcoming community. And in regards to Pickens County Sheriff's Department recently being placed on a list of non-compliant law enforcement agencies by the Department of Homeland Security due to our recent resolution as a welcoming community, my response is as follows. Pickens County will not be intimidated nor bullied by the federal government. We will stand by our resolution as a welcoming community. We will stand by our sheriff in protecting the rights and well-being of our immigrant families. And we will stand in accordance to Article 10 of the United States Constitution, which states that any efforts by the federal executive branch to force state and local governments to enforce immigration laws by withholding federal funding violates Article 10 of the United States Constitution. President Trump's attempts to exclude immigrants coming into this country based on race and religion have not been held up in courts, nor will this attempt. If there is an attempt to deny any funding based on our status, our resolution as a welcoming community, regardless of how little or inconsequential that funding might be, I will ask my fellow commissioners that we take the federal government to court and follow it all the way up to the Supreme Court if necessary. As a nation, as we celebrate Memorial Day this coming Monday, and we honor those who have served our country in times of peace and war, it's worth remembering the preamble of our Constitution. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. Patty.
I just want to support what George just said. I think it's critical. I think we were very careful when we created our Welcoming Communities resolution. I think we were being fair and honest and above board. And it is not the first time Pickens County has had to stand up to the federal government because of our belief in our Constitution, our state Constitution, our federal Constitution. We believe in freedom and justice for all. And I think that's important. And I thank you, George, for what you just said.
Thank you. Other commissioner comments? Steve.
Monday is Memorial Day, and this year the Memorial Day ceremony will be at Connor Park behind the City Hall at 11 a.m. this coming Monday. So veterans are urged to wear an article of their uniform if they still have an article of their uniform. And we hope, I know there will be lots of members of the public there to honor those who have passed away. So we can't do it at our Veterans Park because it's all torn up for the construction right now, but I look forward to when we get to move back there also.
Greg.
Just want to thank you for your comments, and Steve as well. Thanks for reminding us all about Memorial Day coming up. I think it's appropriate that we reiterate our stance on the welcoming community. So congratulations and thank you for putting that forward.
Thanks. I did invite Sheriff Joe DeSalvo here, and I would recognize you if you want to make any comments or provide any further information on how this might be affecting you and your department.
I would just like to offer my briefly, I would just like to thank you, George, for your comments. I think we're all on the same page, and thanks for your support, and that's all I have to say. I think we're doing the right thing. I really, really do, and it's something I'm willing to stand my ground on, and it makes me feel comfortable that I have the support of the five of you on that journey, so thank you.
Thanks, Joe, for all your work.
George, can I just add?
Yes.
I just want the board to know, and I've already mentioned this to Joey, that tomorrow I'm going to be going to the Northwest Colorado Council of Governments meeting. It's 5 counties and multiple municipalities. And I'm bringing copies of our resolution, both in English and Spanish, to hand out at that meeting. And I'm also going to show them the article from today, so everybody's got their eyes wide open. And refer them back to Pickens County if they have any questions or concerns, and hoping that more communities in Colorado will move forward just as we did.
And additionally, George, since Patty brought that up, this afternoon I'm on my way to our summer conference, Sheriff's Summer Conference in Vail this year, where 64 of us will get together, and this is a high-profile topic. Agent Lynch, who's the one who delivered the news to me, will be at that meeting addressing us. I recently got elected to the board of County Sheriffs of Colorado, so I'm hoping they will all somehow find a way to band together, and I think I'm going to suggest we send a united message to the Attorney General about this. So I'll keep you informed how that goes.
That'd be great.
Thank you, Joey.
That'd be great. Thanks, Joey.
Thanks, Joey.
Okay, with that, we're going to move on to our consent action items. These are single readings. The first is the minutes of May 10th, the regular meeting, and minutes of special meeting of May 16th. The second is a new ambulance vehicle permit. Third is a ratification of hearing officers' recommendations on abatement petitions. And last is the citizen board appointment. Anybody want to pull any of these?
The number 4.
Citizen board appointment. Okay, I have a question regarding the hearing officer abatement.
Oh, we don't have
I don't see anybody here from the assessor's office.
Supposed to be here. Do you want to
Should we pull it? Because
We could pull it and hold
I have a
that.
question too on that, George.
Okay, so anything else? Otherwise, I would accept a motion for the minutes of May 10th, regular meeting, minutes of special meeting of May 16th, and the new ambulance vehicle permit.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Thank you for the minutes, Jeanette.
Steve, citizen board appointment.
I just wanted to recognize the 2 individuals who we are recognizing and approving for the, and let me get to the right page here.
Here.
Okay, the 2 individuals who are being appointed today
I wrote their names at the bottom.
are John Kelleher for the library board and Christy Blish for the Nautica Suite Advisory Board. So we thank them for volunteering to serve on the board and to continue on the board in the case of John. The citizens who volunteer are very important to the community, and we appreciate their efforts.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
I just wanted to make a note too for the public that we are looking at the library board to expand their board positions to include some alternates. So because we had a lot of people apply for this board and we only had really 1 opening, so that hopefully will be coming back to us soon, and we can consider the applicants for possible appointment to the alternate positions.
Okay. All right.
Should I tell?
We had a motion and a second. Did we have a vote on that?
I'll move to approve the appointments.
All in favor say aye.
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 Perfect
Aye.
timing.
Thank you.
Aye.
All right.
Ely came over and distracted me.
Larry, I had a question on the ratification of the hearing officer recommendations on abatement petitions. And on the first one, Andrea Bechtolsheim, thank you. Unless I'm missing something, I didn't see a reason why you were denied. Usually we have assessor recommends denial for the following reasons, and I don't see that anywhere.
Well, I think when Jeanette put together the packet for these, she didn't include the entire packet for each abatement. It's basically the hearing officer's recommendation, and but if you have a specific question about
Reason why denying this abatement request?
The first one.
yeah. All right, I think this is,
Jeanette, do you have something you can help with on this?
I was going to say, if you want to continue this to the next meeting, we have time and we can include.
Well, we'll see how Larry's doing. I mean, usually we have this information, Larry. When I went through this, I just caught that I didn't see that anywhere.
okay, this one is the one that's being approved, right?
No, the one that's being denied. The first one was a denial.
Do you have the packets for all of them?
Continue it to the next meeting and that's what I was given by the hearing officer.
It's the back of the petition for abatement. At the bottom, it usually has assessor's recommendation, and this one does not. It's blank. Whereas the next one for the approval has notes written in it.
Yeah, and this one, does it have the account number on it?
It certainly does. The account number, the schedule number?
Yes.
It's R003792.
Okay, so this is not, do you just have the hearing officer's determinations for these?
This is all was given, so I think we should need to get with the hearing officer and bring this back at a next meeting, George.
Or, tell you what, I've got scanned copies of all the files, in my office. I could just run, or if you want to do it.
Whatever works is fine with me.
We can bring it back towards the end of the end of the day. So we'll just keep moving along.
Okay.
So you don't have to run back and forth. But why don't you just
And I'll put them on an iPad and I can do them that way.
maybe just before we do open discussion, perhaps at the end of the day.
Okay, so time-wise,
We have no idea.
We'll
okay.
I also have another question
Yes.
before you leave. We had lots of comments submitted by one of the hearing officers, Ken Call. Is there anything we're supposed to do with his comments that he presented outside of his, did you have copies of all that? It was pretty
I
lengthy.
do, yep. And I think, to be honest with you, my impression with those is that to an extent he was editorializing.
And he's going to take it to a higher level if he feels he needs to?
Correct. And so I think ultimately his recommendation at the very end is to follow the recommendation for the assessors as far as denying the appeals.
And this was his editorial comments, and if he intends to, he just want to give us a heads up?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So
That's what I thought. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll put that stuff together.
all right, that'd be great. Thanks,
Great.
Larry.
Back at the end of the
Yeah, thanks. Okay, we'll just clean that up.
right. I'll be right back.
All right, so we'll move on to our individual consideration items. These are first readings set for public hearing on June 14th. The first is a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with the United States Forest Service for Pickens County Sheriff's Office Annual Operating Plan.
So is Jesse going to?
Who's doing that from the Sheriff's Department? Welcome. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Brad Gibson with the Sheriff's Office.
Okay. So do you want to just give us a quick overview of what this is?
Every Friday and Saturday night during the summer, we send a patrol deputy up the Maroon Creek Road and Independence Pass and patrol the campgrounds just to make a law enforcement presence and assist the Forest Service in doing that.
Do you, I asked this a while ago, I think, of Ron and maybe Joey. Do we have a similar IGA with the BLM, or is that possible to obtain one if we don't have one?
I've never heard of one, but I can certainly ask those two and see what they say.
Yeah, I mean, the reason, in one particular area, I know the Sheriff's Department has helped out in the past, is in the summertime up on the Crown, where we're seeing areas of use for not only bike riding, but specifically for partying, bonfires being set, trash being left. And also, since we just installed some no parking signs along part of Prince Creek Road, it would be nice as a deputy who's traveling perhaps up towards Redstone to be able to take a quick ride up Prince Creek Road, check for violators there, and keep an eye out on weekends up on the Crown.
That's actually part of this agreement for the Cypress Ranger District to patrol Prince Creek Road, Avalanche Creek Road, Thompson Creek Roads, Cold Basin Roads, and we do spend quite a bit of time up in Thompson Creek and Prince Creek looking for the underage parties and trash.
Okay, because you go along the Dinkle Lake Road,
Yes.
up into that camp area. So the Crown is another area for access. We've been getting complaints from neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be great.
Yeah, George, I've never known of us to have any annual agreement with the BLM, but doesn't mean we shouldn't look at there's an expense to the sheriff's department that we might be able to cover, so that's a good idea.
Other questions? Steve?
On page 3 of the, I guess that's an IGA, the number 2 section right at the top, it has dates from June 1st, 2016 to September 30th, 2016. That would need to be updated in this agreement to 2017. And maybe it could be, I don't know if we'd have to change it every year, maybe it could be made more generic, just to say between June 1st and September 30th of every year, or of the current year, or some wording like that.
Sure.
I'll make a motion to approve on first reading, set for second reading and public hearing on June the 14th.
Second?
Second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great, thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Okay, thanks.
Next is a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with Eagle County for public health planning services. Hello.
Hi, I'm Jordana Sabella with Pickett County Public Health, sitting in for Karen Kinnaman. So a brief background about this resolution for an IJ with Eagle County for public health planning services is that previous to this IGA, Eagle County contracted with Community Health Services, the former public health agency for Pickett County. And so that contract with Community Health Services was terminated in March of this year, and we'd like to move that work over to the new public health agency. So this agreement really contracts for half of my time to do public health planning in the this side of Eagle County, and what we'll be focusing on, especially up in the upcoming time, will be our regional community health assessment and public health improvement plans that we're working on regionally.
Great, Patty?
So what this is just another step in our phase to transition from community health to public health.
Mm-hmm.
So that's perfect. So we're kind of seeing these things come along as we're gearing this new department up. So thank you.
Sure.
So, do you have questions or ask?
Yeah, a question. On the first, on Exhibit A, where it says, gives duties and responsibilities, so it says page 8 of that part of the packet.
Yes.
And it says, a Pitkin employee shall provide the following services. Since it is a new department, we're not fully staffed in that department yet. Does that mean it's like either you or Karen will be the Pitkin employee? And do you have the time to do this right now, given that you don't have the full complement of your staff?
That's a great question. So that Pitkin employee is me. And, I was doing this work in the previous structure at Community Health Services, and it really ties in very nicely with the other planning work that I do for Pickett County, so it really helps to supplement that as well and provide cohesion. So it's definitely something that the time is there, and we are hoping to be able to continue this relationship.
And Steve, this is not new. As Jordana said, we had anticipated this relationship when we developed our transition plan.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, John.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we weren't biting off something that was too big for us right now.
I appreciate that.
So, Jordana, it says that we'll receive, I'm assuming from Eagle County, revenue not to exceed $30,500 to cover staff time, mileage, and program expenses. So, over the course of this next year, we'll be able to track that and see how that lines up in terms of actual time and resources utilized.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. So we're currently tracking that and invoicing them monthly, and so I'm basically spending only up to 20 hours a week.
Okay.
Plus mileage, being able to attribute towards this contract.
All right, great. Any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve on first reading, set for second reading and public hearing on June 14th. Thank you, Jordana.
Thanks.
Second.
See you June 14th.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Jordana.
Okay, thank you.
Next is a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with the Colorado Department of Natural Resources for cooperative wildfire protection.
Thanks, George. I'm Valerie McDonald. I'm the Pitkin County Emergency Manager, and with me today is Alex Durant. He is our Pitkin County Public Safety GIS Analyst. Since wildfires don't recognize jurisdictional boundaries, the Colorado Revised Statute referenced in this Department of Natural Resources.
You can keep talking. We can.
Okay. In this IGA, Department of Natural Resources Intergovernmental Agreement, states that there will be cooperation between any state agency that owns wildland areas within a county pertaining to wildfire mitigation and suppression. This IGA was created to clarify a gray area pertaining to who pays for suppression costs of a wildfire on state wildland areas within a county. County Parks and Wildlife will, in accordance with the provisions in this IGA, provide reimbursement to the county for certain costs the county incurs during the suppression of a wildfire. This specific area, the specific area this IGA addresses in Pitkin County is 329 acres up the frying pan. And I've asked Alex to be here to clarify the exact location of this area. Go ahead.
So this area is after Frying Pan Road turns to dirt and starts to wind up towards Hagerman Pass and Ivanhoe Reservoir. We can see the area highlighted in kind of that thicker red, the area that we're talking about. And if we were to flip the map over, we have a second map that just shows, I'm going to put that up. That just shows the area kind of within the larger county, you know, where we're talking about running from the county boundary in the east back to Route I. And then, of course, we have the detail map that shows a little in greater detail, you know, kind of the area and the terrain underlying.
Any questions about the location? If not, I'll continue.
No, it's good. Thank you for the maps.
This IGA will run through 2023. The max amount the state will pay out in any given year on a first-come, first-served basis is $89,000. In closing, to summarize, if we had a fire on those 329 acres and if the state fund wasn't already depleted, we could be reimbursed for fire suppression costs on that land. Slim chance of those two things happening, but it could happen. We didn't see a downside of adopting this resolution, and there's a potential upside. And then if you go back, this is what put it over the edge for me. If you go back to the original statute, it's about cooperating with our state partners. So by adopting this resolution and signing the IGA, we would be doing that. Does anyone have any questions about this?
Valerie, is this the only area where we have
What?
this? Is this the only area in the county where we have this type of IGA?
As of right now, yes.
Are there other potential areas?
Alex, do you want to?
Yes, there are. I believe there's another smaller, a smaller parcel of state land a little further down the frying pan, closer to Basalt. The other really big ticket parcel, and I believe it's larger than this one, is actually on Highway 82 in Snowmass Canyon.
Okay. The one down further, down the frying pan, that would be in Eagle County.
Yeah, I bet it's an eagle.
So, other questions?
No, I just think this is a great idea, and it's better to get our names in there. You know, there's a lot to be said about planning ahead, and especially when it comes to reimbursement of costs, that if you haven't got those steps taken, you might be out of luck at the end of the day if you need to ask for reimbursement. So I think it's really a good thing to be prepared, and I think this is a great first step, and I thank you.
Thank you.
Steve?
Valerie and I had a little exchange of emails I was trying to figure out exactly where this was and what the wildfire danger is there. Now, looking at the map, I noticed that there are 2 open space lands attached to this. Also, the big power line runs right through the middle of this section, which the power line would actually act kind of like a fire break if there were a wildfire. But then the road also runs right through it, and then that would increase the danger of a man-caused wildfire, somebody throwing a cigarette out their window or something just could inadvertently cause a fire. So, but it does look like it's a defensible place that's relatively flat with the road going right to it. So that would, if there is a fire, then it would be easier to defend it.
They did have several conversations with Basalt Fire. It is in their district, and they were fully supportive of us going ahead and adopting this.
It's a great map, too. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I would move to approve the resolution adopting an IGA between the Colorado Department of Natural Resources and Pickens County for cooperative wildfire protection. This on first reading with a second reading and public hearing on June 14th.
Second.
Second, okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Thank
Great.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Alex. Thanks, Valerie. Next is an ordinance accepting a restrictive covenant for an agricultural building from Roaring Fork Metals LLC. Hello.
Thanks, George. Suzanne Wolf with Community Development. I think what you said is, well, I'm here, first reading, a covenant, accepting a covenant for the use and agreement for an agricultural building. Roaring Fork Meadows is the property that was known as the Wingo Junction Ranch, right near, you turn in right by the pedestrian bridge across Highway 82. It's a 7-lot subdivision. The barn we're speaking about here is on their common parcel 1. Some of you may remember a couple of years ago we approved a ranch manager unit on that parcel. And now they're also wanting to put this barn up there that will basically house equipment that's used to maintain, all of the agricultural properties within the subdivision, so on the ranch. They have an allowance for 6,150 square feet of agricultural buildings on that parcel. In this case, they agreed to combine all of their ag square footage only to be used on the common parcel, so each lot wouldn't have its own barn. And in this case, they're using about 1,500 square feet of that allotment for this barn. And I think as you've been, briefed the last time I wasn't here, but I think Mike covered it. These covenants for barns, agricultural buildings, the occupancy covenants, TDR covenants, things that are now all coming before you for formal acceptance. In the past, we haven't necessarily been following that procedure. We've been informed that this is the procedure we need to follow. So we will be coming in front of you a lot with these documents, with the acceptance of the covenants and other types of documents in that realm. So,
all right, thanks, Suzanne. Steve?
Suzanne, could you bring a map at the second reading so we could see what it looks like? I'm familiar with that property from before when it was still the Hoagland's Ranch, and there were different agricultural buildings there, and then now there's, the High Country Lumber Company was right there. That might be a different property.
Separate
I don't know,
property,
but just
yes.
so
It's
we
on the
can,
left side, this one's on the
just
right.
so we
yes,
can
I can definitely
clarify.
bring them up. And actually, one more thing. For second reading, I recognize that I need to fix the mailing addresses on the covenant as we were directed last time, and we fixed on the one that was previously approved. but I'll fix that by second reading.
Oh, to
Right,
Emma?
the mailing addresses for the county and the county attorney, county manager and county attorney. So,
Greg?
Just a quick question. Is this how close is this to the RAFTA right-of-way? Is this part of that? Does the RAFTA corridor bike path and right-of-way go right next to this parcel or barn we're talking about?
the Rio Grande Trail runs along the bottom of the property, the lower edge of the property. The Basalt Old Snowmass Trail runs across the upper edge of the property. So if you're taking that towards Basalt, that runs just above, 5 of the lots in the subdivision. The Rio Grande comes just below it. So where the Rio Grande would connect to the pedestrian bridge and then across to the golf course development on the other side. And this agricultural building, actually Hoagland Ranch Road, is where you turn off of the highway. And the ranch manager residence and this barn would come off of Hoagland Ranch Road, which is, they're probably about halfway between the two trails in the middle of the property.
Thanks.
If that helps.
Yeah.
And I can point that out next time.
Patty?
I'll make a motion to approve on first reading, set for second reading, public hearing on June 14th.
Second?
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Suzanne.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Okay, we're going to move on to our public hearing. These are second readings. The first is a resolution adopting a memorandum of understanding between the Governor's Office of Information Technology, Public Safety Communications Network, and Pickens County. John?
Thanks, George. It's that time of year where we have a number of staff out at trainings or conferences, and this is another one of those items. John Peacock, County Manager, I'll be handling this for Jeff Kruger and Phyllis Mattice. And what this is a memorandum of understanding with the state to provide software upgrades to our digitally trunked radio system that is currently being installed. The board had previously approved an agreement with the State Department of Information Technology for software upgrades, but it only covered the 2 sites that construction had been completed on. We have since then completed construction on additional sites, and that's really what this agreement covers, is upgrading software on those additional sites. This has been a very advantageous partnership for the county. When we first started looking at going from our VHF public safety radio system, the long-term costs looked prohibitive, but through our partnership with the state, we've been able to bring them down to a very reasonable level. In fact, with the partnerships, we estimate over the term of our agreement with the state that the overall value for maintenance and upgrades is in the neighborhood of $12 million. So this is because we did not include those additional sites. This is really to include those for the software upgrades, so all our equipment is up to date.
Great. Patty?
So there are no changes from first reading?
No changes from the first reading.
Any other questions? This is a public hearing. Anybody wishing to make any comment on this? See none, I'll bring it back to the board.
I will make a motion to approve on second reading.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next is an ordinance accepting the dedication of a road right-of-way easement from AML Investment 4 LLC.
Thank you, George. I'm G.R. Fielding, the county engineer, and as just stated, this item is to accept a right-of-way from what's known as 76 Placer Lane. It's just above Red Mountain Road, so this right-of-way is along Red Mountain Road. There are no changes from the first reading, and this item is also additionally just immediately south of the easement that we accepted a few months ago from the property next door.
Okay, Patty?
I just want to thank you. I did receive the information that I had asked about, and I'm going to be gone for a couple of weeks. When I get back, I'll be meeting with the county attorney to see the next steps, and that's in contacting the company that actually did the tree removal on that property, and just see what steps we might be able to talk to the board about notifying that tree cutter that he has to have permits and go through the right process when he's doing work in Pickens County. Thank you, though, for that information.
Yeah, as a note, on that portion of the property, they have applied for the right-of-way work permit to work off of the road to get up onto their hillside for revegetation.
Great, thank you.
Steve?
GR is, I know there's been some bank stabilization work on various parts of Red Mountain Road. Does that affect this at all, or is this one of the locations where you had to do some work?
Honestly, this location, when we rebuilt Red Mountain Road in 2007, was actually in better shape than most of the rest, so we didn't do any stabilization through here.
Okay, I was just curious about that.
Is this a public hearing? Anybody wishing to make a comment on this? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. We get back to the board for a motion or a question. Any other questions or comments?
No, I'd make a motion to approve the ordinance accepting the dedication of a road right-of-way easement from AML Investment for LLC.
I'll second.
Beat me. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Thanks, GR.
Thank you.
John, you want to shoot Larry a email, because we're moving right along here.
And if we go back and look at that, you might find that denial rationale in the just below the first paragraph. I think we better look at that again, because I thought I saw it originally, and then I didn't see it today, and I just looked again, and maybe it's there. Batteries have just died, so I'm doing it on the phone.
On petition 1?
On Andreas Bechtelsheim's.
Let's see.
I think I just lost it, but I want to make sure we didn't overlook something.
No, it's the bottom part, the assessor's recommendation that needs to be filled out.
Apparently that comes later, according to Jeanette. But up in the paragraph above that, just beneath, there is some text added that almost looks like it's part of the blank document.
This one up here, up in his section?
Yeah, in that paragraph.
That's the petitioner's statement.
Petitioner statement, okay.
Yeah, that's not the assessor's.
Is there not a, okay, let me go find this. Did you see what I was talking about?
Well, we'll just wait for Larry to come over and clarify
Let's see what he brings in.
George, basically, Devon's reason for the denial, another reason, was they were asking for a denial so they could move on to the state. There was much discussion with it.
All right. Well, we'll just wait for Larry to come over.
Yeah.
It's just a hop, skip, and jump for him. All right. So we don't have any land use public hearings today, but we do have a land use action item, and that is the Craig and Lee Williams Family Partnership LTD minor amendment to a development permit. This had been continued from April 26th.
Mike Kramer with Pickett County Planning Staff, and as the chair said, this is the Williams minor amendment to a development permit to resolutions 90-25 and resolution 91-93. These resolutions approve the Davis-Donnelly lot split, and that's essentially a subdivision, a two-lot subdivision. It's located off Snowmass Creek Road, and both lots are large acreage parcels. And in these resolutions contain a dog prohibition. And in the 1990s, dog prohibitions were consistent with what the land use code required at the time, given the big game wintering ranges on the property. And the applicant is looking to amend these resolutions to lift the dog prohibition with certain conditions. This application did come in a while ago, and as you remember, we've had a couple continuances on it. Staff and the applicant were working together to flesh out some of the details on it. The applicant is Craig and Lee Williams Family Partnership, LTD, and is represented here by Connor Coleman sitting next to me. Location is Lot 2 of the Davis-Donnelly lot split, and the address is 4305 Snowmass Creek Road. Zoning for this property is large acreage zoning of RS30, and it's almost 150 acres. I don't have a big staff presentation on this. The property is developed with a large single-family house and a barn, and that was approved about 10 years ago. The property owner, the property has a conservation easement that is established and to the benefit of Aspen Valley Land Trust. You can see comments from them attached to staff's memo. We referred the application to Colorado Parks and Wildlife, and you'll see there's 2 letters from them in there. And the first letter was with the original application that was submitted by the applicant in reference to their request. And then, as you saw in staff's packet, I had a red topper on the amended application. The applicant has, through the course of a couple months, refined the request and has requested that some certain items be allowed with regards to dogs, and I can read them here. The applicant's requesting the permit approval to keep up to 2 dogs on the property, that they be kenneled within 50 feet of the existing residence or the existing barn on the property, that off-leash working dogs for agricultural purposes be allowed, and then dogs under voice control, under human voice control, be allowed in the activity envelope. So you can read staff's memo and our responses to the code sections. Basically, the current land use code, given where the big game ranges are delineated on this property, they actually allow dogs to be on the property subject to a kenneling restriction. So the code has changed in the last 25 years since we've adopted the resolutions that split this property up. So staff acknowledges that with certain restrictions, that being that these dogs be kenneled. And the applicant is going to present their argument for human voice control and agricultural working dog. That section in our land use code that states that if located within big game wintering ranges, dogs for specifically agricultural purposes or working dogs can be allowed, and we acknowledge that in the memo and also in the draft resolution. So staff does find that acceptable. The one thing that is not allowed by code is for basically domestic dogs to be off leash in big game winter range, even if they are under voice control. So that's one portion of the application staff does not feel is consistent with the code, and we've not recommended approval for. And then lastly, I know Commissioner Richards isn't here, but in one of those continuance hearings, she asked that we addressed what would be called electronic collars or electronic fences. And historically, since we've had dog prohibitions in the county, we've not had a request for an electronic collar or an electronic fence to be used, and that's not what the applicant's asking for either at this time. So that's what I know on that topic. But in general, we are recommending approval and subject to the draft resolution, which does not include the domestic dogs under human voice control.
Questions for Mike, Patty, then Steve?
Yeah, and maybe the applicant will address this, but I would like to know what the agricultural uses are on this property, because I don't think growing hay necessarily requires a dog. So I'd like to just see if that's going to be addressed. And right now is my only question.
Okay, Steve?
Mike, in the Lot 1 approval, some years ago, they permitted 1 dog, and this application is saying approving 2 dogs. And I'm wondering if there's anything in our land use code that, in terms of dogs in a wildlife area, that specifies any number of dogs, or is that up to the discretion of the BOCC?
Nothing in the land use code is stated specifically to numbers of dogs, and you would have the discretion to limit that further.
Can I add to that? Yeah, the CPW, Colorado Parks and Wildlife, they did make a note about 2 dogs versus 3 dogs and the pack mentality, so they were not in opposition for 2 dogs, is my understanding of their letter.
The other question I'll ask, and maybe the applicant will be able to respond, but how will we know the difference if it's an ag dog versus a domestic dog, and what's going to be allowed to run versus being kenneled?
It's a really good question, and I don't have a good answer to it. I think we would base any representations by the applicant and hope and think that their representations to us would be conditions of this approval, and if there are dogs on the property, that they'd be used for ag purposes if the domestic dog portion is not approved.
Any other questions for Mike at this time? If not, we can hear the applicant's presentation.
Thank you very much. To specifically address your questions, as far as the agricultural use, our goal in writing this application is, well, I should first say I used to work for Rath Valley Land Trust and actually rewrote the conservation easement. And when you write a conservation easement, you don't write it for a specific landowner or a specific point in time, and that's where I was going with this application. There is the potential for agricultural use. I personally believe the property could benefit from some utilization of livestock strategically to improve the habitat quality and the ecological integrity of the property. So writing that working dog clause in there was with the to leave that opportunity open if it came up, so we didn't have to, whether it's for this landowner or a subsequent landowner, come back and request a second amendment for this issue. As far as the Lot 1 application, Lot 1 is currently undeveloped. The property's been listed for years for sale. It's my understanding that the Lot 1 owners, Brad Davis and Janice Provisor, applied for this amendment for their lot because they were trying to sell their property, and the dog prohibition turned a lot of potential buyers away. So they just kind of put in an application without maybe not necessarily thinking through the practical applications of it. Working with the landowner of Lot 2, who does have has developed the property and is thinking realistically about what they would like to see out there. That's why we didn't specifically request a certain number of dogs. I know the Lot 1 application in 2012 did request only one dog, and it was when CPW, Colorado Parks and Wildlife, came back and made their suggestion, as you stated, about 2 dogs and the pack mentality, that we amended it to specifically say 2 dogs. So, and we're completely fine with that. George, as far as your question regarding domestic versus agricultural dogs, I too don't have an answer for that, but wanted to, again, leave that potential out there if agricultural operations ever commenced on the property.
Right. I mean, one way to perhaps address that is following Patty's, I think, question and concern is since this is not currently being used as ag for an ag purpose, if and when that does happen, then the applicant perhaps can come back for an amendment to permit the utilization of an off-leash working dog. But as such, it's not, there's no ag in use at this point. We should just make sure that the dogs that are on the property are being kept kenneled.
I agree.
And I am working with the landowner to develop a management plan to improve wildlife habitat, do some hardwood oak brush removal to reduce wildfire risk, improve wildlife habitat, and part of the potential long-term plan to maintain the improved habitat that's developed would be the utilization of livestock, whether it be goats or cattle. So there is some consideration. It's not completely fleshed out, but I just want to let you know that.
Oh, that's great. They can always come back. Patty?
Yeah, I think it needs to be specifically noted because that's kind of a wide open and it could just cause problems for the landowners in the future to have dogs out there without any appropriate agricultural use that are off leash that really were there domestic. So I think it's better when they have a specific use in mind that it come back to us so we can make an informed decision.
Great, thank you. And then additionally, as Mike said, we're also requesting that dogs be allowed off-leash within the activity envelope. The activity envelope is 4.66 acres, I believe, which is roughly 3% of the property. This idea came through discussions with Curtis Tench, the district wildlife officer here with Colorado Parks and Wildlife. Through our conversations, he said that they would support, and it reflects in their letter, their amended letter, the allowance of off-leash dogs under voice control. The idea of kenneling that they've supported was more so for unsupervised keeping of dogs, and with the understanding that well-trained dogs and supervised dogs could be allowed, in their opinion. So So that's why we're requesting that.
Donnie?
You know, I have concern over that one. I'm a dog owner. I've always been a dog owner. I'm a dog person. And I know dogs and owners, and I'm just concerned about future owners and their ability to control their dogs, and the issues that sometimes it's hard if a dog sees wildlife off in the vista, they're going to take off, and no matter how hard you try to bring them back in by voice control, they're gone. And I would be really concerned about that, because I think that would just be totally destroying the issue of the conservation for wildlife, the conservation easement for the wildlife protection. So that's one issue I'm not comfortable moving forward with, unless I hear a good argument from the rest of this board.
Okay. Steve?
I've been thinking about what kind of working dogs would potentially be on that property, which if the people had sheep, they would maybe have 2 herding dogs. And typically herding dogs are, if they are working, they're under voice control of the handler. And if they're not working, they're most likely, they're still under control. They really stay with the owner and stay under control. The other type of dog that I could envision would be guard dogs for sheep, if they had sheep or goats or alpacas or something. And the guard dogs typically are out there by themselves 24 hours a day. They stay with the livestock. And so they're not under direct supervision, but they're basically trained to just stay with the livestock and attack anything that they feel is threatening the sheep or the livestock. So I can't foresee that this property ever would have sheep herd on that would justify having those kind of animals, or that they would need it. But somebody might have some alpacas that are a high price kind of livestock that they would want to have a guard dog. So just thinking along those lines, they probably would have horses there and would have no need for working dogs anyhow.
Okay, so when I'm looking at this resolution, find it correctly, on my page 5 of 73, under 3D, one of the issues that we've been discussing is off-leash working dogs, specifically for agricultural purposes, are permissible pursuant to the land use code. So what I'm hearing or suggesting is that we leave that off at this time, and then if and when this becomes an ag property, that the applicant can come back in and request that.
Yeah, that we would welcome that.
And that's one. And the other one, let's see if I can find this here. I don't see.
Voice control was not added into the resolution.
It was not even added in, so we'll just leave that out. Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm just not comfortable unless anybody is comfortable. And
Yeah, Greg?
I just wanted to say that it's pretty clear from hearing what people are saying that maintenance and protection of any wildlife in the area is the most important, consideration. And I appreciate what everybody is saying, and I agree with them. I think that this is the sort of thing that it seems pretty clear that if they want to, bring in wildlife, or bring in domestic livestock or something, that's going to require a visit back to us. That seems fair to me. I think the opportunities for a violation, beyond what they can even imagine, are too easy in a case like this. Clearly, it's an area that's important to CPW and AVLT. I know they want to help the landowners sell the land and enjoy their ownership of it, but this is important enough that I think they should come back to us. If they want to start a livestock operation, why not bring it back and tell us about it? We're protecting the wildlife in the entire region, so I think this is the right move.
Patty?
Yeah, I just want to say that I fully support the allowing of dogs on this property, just as we did on the other lot. And I understand the resale value, because we're a dog community, and this is becoming more and more dog country. And so I appreciate that, and I'm glad we're able to do that.
Steve?
Yeah, also I support the concept of allowing dogs on the property. I know that Kevin Wright told us many different times that the prohibition against, the complete prohibition against dogs wasn't working because people were having dogs anyhow, and then there was no rules for having them in a kennel or having them on a leash. They were just not supposed to have them, and that was not being honored by the residents. So this is a better system to allow them to have dogs, but make specific rules how that the dogs have to be under really positive control when they're in the wildlife area, and that protects the wildlife better.
Mm-hmm.
Patty?
So I'll make a motion to approve.
Can I add one more thing here? It does say within 60 days of the approval, if it is approved, that we need to provide a drawing or description of kennels. Right now, the landowners don't have aspirations to bring dogs on the property or develop the kennels. Would we be able to change that so that it...
Oh, that's a good point. Sorry, I didn't mean to rush you.
Sorry.
So how do we want to address
That's under 3B, where it says the kennel shall be installed within 60 days from the date of this approval. We could say the kennel shall be installed within 60 days that the property owner brings dogs onto the property.
Well, we need to have the kennels in place before they bring the dogs on.
Okay.
So notification of intent to bring dogs on the property, or some language such as that. That's a good point. Thank you.
Okay, we got that wording that makes sense, Mike?
Yeah, I will, I'll draft something up.
Okay. So is there anything else that,
No, and you know, like I said, this application was written with the idea of forever in mind and potential opportunities out there. You know, and again, we're talking with Colorado Parks and Wildlife, as Steve said, is in the past, the prohibition of dogs has been not adhered to, and so the request to keep them under voice control with the support of CPW was an effort to create a realistic approval.
Right.
I too am a dog owner, you know, and taking your dog on leash everywhere you go, especially on a property that you own, it is an unideal task. But just wanted to, at the very least, put that notion in front of you guys.
Appreciate that. And I think the agricultural uses in the future, I myself would support knowing what those agricultural uses were to be. So I do have a working dog, so kind of working dog. So I will make a motion to approve with the changes to the resolution as provided by the board.
Second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Thanks, Connor.
Great. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go back to the hearing officer's determination. This was under our consent action items. And I see Larry's brought reinforcement.
Got the heavy hitters with me here. This is Dan Popish from the assessor's office. And I think maybe a point of clarification, Jeanette and I were just talking a little bit ago. Of these abatements, they were all pertaining to the issue where somebody has a vacant parcel next to a residence, and so they're requesting a residential classification in order to get the lower residential assessment rate on their vacant parcel. The criteria that allows for that are it has to be, the two parcels have to be under common ownership, they have to be contiguous, and the vacant lot has to be in use as an extension of the residential property. And if they meet all of that criteria, then we can grant a residential classification even though there are no residential improvements. There's a company in Denver who's done a mass mailing all over the state for properties in this regard. There have been 3 or 4 counties that have been appealed beyond the county level to the Board of Assessment Appeals. The Board of Assessment Appeals has rendered decisions by and large denying 99% of these requests. And so in this case, we worked with the tax agent who was presenting these with the idea that since the decisions that have been rendered at the State Board of Assessment Appeal are being appealed on to the Court of Appeals, which should set precedent one way or the other as far as how we deal with these properties. So for us to make a decision prior to the Court of Appeals rendering their ultimate decision, we recommended to the tax agents that these receive what we typically refer to as an administrative denial. So they would be denied at the local level, which still keeps open their rights to appeal. So they would continue to appeal onto the Board of Assessment Appeals. And then, as we've done with a number of other cases in this regard, they have been put on hold pending the outcome of the Court of Appeals decisions, for these types of properties. And so we went ahead and presented documentation as to why they wouldn't be approved each property in their own right. But in a general sense, we were recommending that all of them be denied anyway until we get further guidance from the Court of Appeals as to how we should treat these properties. So I'm happy to talk to you about the specifics of any one particular property, but just know that that's kind of the background of what's going on, with all of them.
George,
All right, that helps.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Really helps. But there was one we're approving. There was one petition in here we're approving. So
There is one, and that is.
It's very clear. It's got an explanation, so we're good to go. I'm good to go on that one.
Okay, and that's the one where the vacant lot is actually landscaped. It's the
very
entry
clear.
to the residence, and it actually is being used as an extension of the residence. And the only reason, although we approved it, the only reason it had to come before the board is the refund on that particular one is in excess of $10,000, and so you guys need to wave your hand over that one as
It's
well.
a pretty nice refund.
Okay, great. Thanks. Any other questions?
No, I'll make a motion to approve. And thank you for coming back over.
Okay, I'm sorry for the.
No, that's okay.
Second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your heavy hitter helped you, Larry.
Thanks for the,
Thanks for coming
thanks
over.
for the clarification on
Never
that.
hurts to bring a long walk over here.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go on to open discussion. John, anything?
Yeah, we have just one item that Suzanne's going to take care of.
Just a quick one. Since we had talked to you before when Jazz Aspen came in on a work session to talk about camping at Buttermilk, we just heard from them this morning that they're not going to pursue a permit for that this year.
Oh.
They feel like they're just a little bit off the back. They need to plan, have more time to plan that out. So I won't say that we won't see it next year, but we will not see an application for this year. So I just thought it would be good to update you to know that that would not be showing up.
Well, that'd be great. And that reminds us, or me, that when will we be coming back with a staff presentation or recommendations on the use of the Buttermilk parking
It's on our
lot?
agendas for a meeting coming, a regular
It is?
meeting
I
coming
didn't
up.
notice it. Okay.
Yeah, and I can't remember the
Okay, it's on
exact
the
date,
agenda.
but
Great.
yeah.
But it's posted on one of our upcoming.
And on that front, I do know that GR was with the Planning Commission last week, I think having that, updating them and talking about the WOMP and those pieces. So I think that was one of the pieces before they proceeded, came back to you.
Right.
All right, great. Thanks, Suzanne.
Thank you, Susan.
Anybody else have anything for open discussion?
I just want to wish everybody a happy Memorial Weekend. Be safe. And George, you're going to be at the celebration?
I am.
Perfect. And I will be out of town
Sure,
for
Steve will be
till the
there as well.
6th.
Yeah, I will
Great.
be there also.
Steve?
One other item just popped into my head. George, you had sent an email out about a meeting during June.
Well, with the Forest Service.
The
and-
Forest
and-
Service.
Oh, yeah.
And Rachel has
And you're not
responded.
going to be here right then, and I didn't see, I don't know if anybody responded to
We
you.
have a meeting that day, don't we?
No, Rachel did respond, and she said she would be able to make that meeting. It's just a meeting with the Forest Service, sort of a leadership meeting. I think they want to just talk about how successful the different entities were able to work together, is my impression, but.
I thought there was a Thompson Divide meeting coming up,
Thompson
too.
Divide Tour, that's that one?
Yeah, it's a Thompson Divide
15th?
Coalition, Picken County Forest Service, and I referred Rachel to talk to Karen for details, and Rachel said she would
Alright.
also talk to John Ely.
So Rachel is going?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. I just wanted to make sure that we did have one of us going.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, anything else?
I may be able to go to that, but there's a chance I'll be out of town on that day, so I'm not committed yet.
Okay, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Thanks, Grassroots.
Thanks, Grassroots.
That's
Out
a
of here.
record.
Nice, I got lots of time left to do what I didn't get done.
Fire and the windows bright glittered on the moorland. Song, tuneful song, built a palace in the wild. Now